Beowulf. In the rich landscapes of ancient Scandinavia, the land of the Danes flourished under the esteemed rule of King Hrothgar. He sought to unify his people through the construction of a grand mead hall named Heorot. With its towering rafters, the hall became a sanctuary of celebration where warriors gathered to share tales. The joyous laughter and revelry echoed through the night, infusing the air with an effervescent spirit. As cups overflowed with mead and bards acclaimed the valor of great heroes, Hrothgar's hall radiated an infectious energy. Yet unbeknownst to the revelers, an ominous darkness loomed just beyond their merriment. Grendel, a fearsome creature of monstrous lineage and a descendant of the cursed Cain, lurked in the shadows. Unable to bear the joyful sounds wafting through the night, his heart brimmed with bitterness and envy as he pondered the happiness of the Danes. The bright lights and songs of Heorot pierced his dreary silence. He could wait no longer. The time had come for him to quench his thirst for blood. Under the cloak of darkness, Grendel crept toward the hall, fueled by vengeance. With each step, the ground trembled, and dread filled the hearts of the warriors who lay asleep inside Heorot. One by one, Grendel breached the hall's defenses. Seizing the warriors as they slumbered, he indulged in the sweet nectar of oblivion. Blood splattered the ground, screams echoed in the night, and despair took hold of the courageous men who once sang songs of victory. Desperate and defeated, Hrothgar lamented the grim fate that had befallen his people. Unable to understand the source of such evil, he gathered his advisors, many of whom suggested fleeing or abandoning Heorot. Yet, stoically, Hrothgar rejected those notions, bound to protect his people even as darkness encroached upon their lives. In the distant kingdom of Gutland, where the brave hero Beowulf spent his days, tales of Hrothgar's plight reached his ears. Beowulf, known for his extraordinary strength and unwavering courage, felt compelled to take action. He was the son of Ecgtheow, a noble warrior with a reputation for bravery, and the son of Ecgtheow was determined to lend his sword arm to Hrothgar's cause. Inspired by stories of valor and a calling to uphold honor, he assembled a company of 14 men, the most skilled warriors of his land, and set sail for the shores of Denmark. Beowulf's ship carved through the waves, a vessel of hope bound for a land in despair. As their prow cut through the salty foam, Beowulf and his men were not yet aware that their journey would lead them to battle an ancient evil and forever etch their names into legend. As they approached the Danish coast, they saw towering cliffs and the vast expanse of the ocean stretching before them. The journey ignited a fire of determination within Beowulf, his resolve supported by the camaraderie of his loyal followers. Upon landing, the band of Geatish warriors was met by a watchman on the coastal shore, his weathered face etched with concern as he surveyed the unknown men before him. The watchman, wary but curious, demanded their purpose, unsure whether these strangers were friends or foes to his king. The guard, eyeing their formidable appearance, questioned their intentions. Beowulf, standing tall and confident, explained their purpose: to assist Hrothgar and rid the Danes of the monstrous Grendel. The watchman, sensing the steel in Beowulf's voice and determination in his eyes, welcomed them with respect, for he knew that tales of Beowulf's feats had already reached the land of the Danes, spoken in whispers and gasps. "The grace of your company will be held in the highest esteem," the watchman said, gesturing for the Geats to follow. He led them to Heorot, where the atmosphere was thick with hope and anticipation. Beowulf's presence reverberated through the hall. It was like the dawn breaking the darkness. Hrothgar, whose once proud visage was marred by worry and sorrow, greeted Beowulf with open arms, recognizing him as the son of his old friend, Ecgtheow. The hall erupted with celebration, as if the mere arrival of Beowulf was enough to expel the shadows of Grendel. They exchanged stories of heroism and kinship, forging a bond of trust amid the turbulent tides of fate. As the evening went on, the atmosphere brightened. Hrothgar hosted a grand feast in honor of their visitors, providing a bountiful spread of roasted meats, fresh bread, and the finest mead. The men reveled in tales of valor and revelry, and for a brief moment, it seemed that the world had returned to a time before Grendel's reign of terror. Gleeful laughter filled the air, accompanied by the sweet melodies sung by the bards. Beowulf took this opportunity to recount his past feats. He shared tales of fierce battles against monstrous creatures of the sea and savage foes, filling the hearts of the Danes with renewed hope. As the night progressed, the hall seemed to lighten under Beowulf's radiant presence, and Hrothgar began to believe that deliverance had finally arrived. "We come to rid your land of the evil that haunts it," he declared. "I will confront Grendel unarmed as a true warrior should." Thus he pledged not to use weapons, believing that as Grendel fought barehanded, so too would he. The warriors of Heorot listened intently, inspired by Beowulf's bravery. Hrothgar, impressed by Beowulf's audacity, could only nod with gratitude, knowing that Beowulf's bold decision was a double-edged sword. It could bring salvation or tragedy. As the festivities continued, the warriors laid down to sleep, their hearts buoyed with anticipation of the forthcoming battle. In the stillness of the night, as the moonlight bathed Heorot in silver, Grendel approached. The air thickened with silence as the creature drew near. Its footsteps were like thunderous echoes in the quiet hall, heralding its approach. The sleeping warriors stirred uneasily, some groaning in their slumber, but none awoke, unaware that Grendel was upon them. With a screeching roar, he smashed through the doors of Heorot, a malevolent shadow that brought chaos in his wake. The slumbering warriors awoke, horrified as they witnessed the nightmarish beast that had terrorized them for far too long. Grendel seized one of the warriors, consuming him whole. The hall erupted in pandemonium, with warriors drawing their swords in a vain attempt to slay the unstoppable force that was Grendel. In the midst of the cacophony, a lone figure stood unmoved, Beowulf, his gaze fixed on the demon with grim resolve. Reveling in the terror he invoked, Beowulf, unyielding and unafraid, sprang into action, locking eyes with the creature. Grendel lunged at him, teeth bared and claws extended. The clash of strength began. The hall trembled under the weight of their titanic conflict. Beowulf's muscles rippled as he seized Grendel in an unbreakable grip, each straining to dominate the other. Beowulf's grip was like iron as he wrestled with Grendel, their strength intertwined in a deadly struggle echoing throughout the hall. Others watched in awe, torn between fear for their champion and confidence in his strength. With swift cunning, Beowulf turned the tides, using all his might to gain leverage over Grendel. The creature howled in agony as Beowulf twisted its arm with inhuman force, bending it against the monster's own massive strength. The monstrous creature, taken aback by Beowulf's resilience, thrashed violently, desperately trying to escape, but Beowulf held firm. With a final surge of desperation and strength, he tore Grendel's arm from its socket, a gruesome victory that sent the monster howling into the night. The scent of blood hung heavy in the air as Grendel fled into the dark. The hall fell silent, and the men gaped in awe at the incredible strength of Beowulf, their hero, their champion, their savior. Grendel fled, leaving behind a trail of blood and anguish as the hall erupted in joyous celebration. They hung Grendel's severed arm from the rafters, a trophy of heroism that revived hope in the hearts of the Danes. The morning light brought new joy and celebration to Heorot. Songs of Beowulf's triumph were sung from every corner of the kingdom. Hrothgar showered his champion with gold and gifts, and the kingdom of the Danes reveled in the newfound peace and prosperity. Hrothgar praised Beowulf for his audacious feats and expressed his gratitude. Festivities ensued, filled with singing and storytelling as the joy reverberated through the hall. Yet, in the depths of a murky lake, an ominous figure stirred. Grendel's mother, a female creature of equal ferocity, her heart twisted with sorrow and anger at her offspring's demise, emerged from the shadows to avenge her loss. Grendel's mother, a fierce and vengeful creature, eyed the celebrations from the shadows, seething with rage over the death of her son. Driven by fury and maternal instinct, she emerged from her lair, snatching Ekenred, one of Hrothgar's closest warriors, taking him back to her dark underworld. Her swift and ruthless strike reignited the fear in the hall, piercing the celebrations with a reminder that evil still lurked. Hrothgar was devastated by the loss. Once more, shadows hovered over the great hall, threatening to extinguish the light of hope that had triumphed so gloriously. Hrothgar approached Beowulf once again. Thick lines of worry engraved upon his brow, the turmoil of his kingdom mirrored in his eyes. "Beowulf, brave champion of Geatland, once more I beg you to come to our aid. The evil has not been defeated. My kingdom is in peril once more. Now, I beseech you, confront this new horror that has plagued our kingdom. Your strength is our last beacon of hope." Beowulf accepted the challenge without hesitation, his chest swelling with pride. Grendel's mother shall meet her end, and Heorot shall rise from the shadows of despair, he proclaimed, his words echoing throughout the hall and stealing the hearts of the warriors who gathered. With Hrothgar guiding him, he embarked on a journey to face Grendel's mother, deep within the forbidding lake. As they arrived, a mist swirled around them, the air thick with dread and anticipation. The water's surface shimmered ominously, and the weight of foreboding loomed on the hearts of those who accompanied him. Beowulf, the undaunted hero, stood defiantly against the swirling mist and whispered a prayer to the gods, asking for the courage to complete his task, knowing that the souls of many depended upon him. As darkness fell, Beowulf donned armor and plunged into the icy depths of the lake. The water enveloped him like a shroud, the chill sending shivers down his spine. He descended into the abyss, his resolve steadfast, believing in the honor of his mission. In the darkness, Grendel's mother awaited him, fierce and agile. Beowulf gripped Hrunting, a sword bestowed upon him by a noble warrior. However, the weapon failed to harm her tough skin, bouncing harmlessly off her body. Undeterred, he fought fiercely, dodging her claws, searching for the opportunity to subdue her. In the heart of the lair, Beowulf spotted an ancient sword hung upon the wall, a magnificent weapon forged by giants of old. Its gleaming blade promised power unlike any he had ever known. He grasped it tightly, feeling a sudden surge of hope rekindled within. With a fierce cry, he struck at Grendel's mother, severing her head from her shoulders in a single stroke. The foul creature was vanquished, and the blade remained unblemished. As the beast's lifeless body sunk into the abyss of the lake, Beowulf swiftly retrieved Grendel's severed arm and the hilt of the giant's sword as trophies of his victory. Triumphant, he made his way to the surface, breaching the lake's darkness into the world above. Emerging like a god from the depths, he brought the people of Heorot their long-awaited salvation, and they cheered, exalting his name as their savior. The presentation of Grendel's mother's head renewed the spirits of the weary Danes, revitalizing their hearts with joyous celebration. Hrothgar praised Beowulf's unparalleled valor, raising him higher than any warrior before. As feasting resumed, the hall filled with laughter and tales interwoven with friendship, tales that echoed long into the night, filled with the strength of the bond between the Geats and the Danes. Yet, as the seasons passed and Beowulf's glories turned into legend, a sense of tranquility enveloped Geatland. Beowulf ascended to the throne, ruling with integrity and wisdom, securing an era of peace that lasted for decades. However, a shadow lurked in the depths once more. A dragon, angered by a thief who stole a golden cup from its hoard, awoke with unbridled rage. It emerged from the mountains, unleashing fire and destruction upon the Guttish lands. Villages burned, homes turned to ashes, and fear gripped the hearts of the people, and the dragon, fueled by its fury, tore through the countryside, seeking the thief and all who stood in its path. But, while the dragon caused havoc, it stirred the courage of a warrior who once again rose to defend his land. Hearing the cries of his people and sensing the suffering that had returned, Beowulf, now an older man yet resolute, knew he could not let this devastation continue. Summoning his loyal warriors, he prepared to face the dragon, aware that his days of strength and youth were beginning to fade. Among them was Beowulf, a young warrior who had proven himself in earlier trials, brave, loyal, and steadfast, the embodiment of the values Beowulf cherished. As they approached the dragon's lair, Beowulf felt the weight of ages pressing upon him. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and ash, each breath reminding him of the waning of his powers. The ground trembled with the dragon's fury, yet Beowulf stood strong, rallying his warriors with words of encouragement. Together they ventured into the heart of darkness to confront the ancient beast. The dragon, with scales like armor, unleashed fury, flames erupting from its maw, scorching the very air they breathed. The warriors fought valiantly, but one by one they fell before the dragon's wrath. Only Beowulf remained, his faith in his king unshakable. Beowulf, clutching his weapon tightly, engaged the creature with valor. The fire swept across the landscape, consuming everything in its path as the verdant hills turned to ash. The battle raged on, each side refusing to yield. Yet, he soon felt immense pain as the dragon's fangs sank into his side, delivering venom coursing through his veins. With strength fading, Beowulf sank to his knees, his sword still held high, ready to strike one last time. The weight of age and experience pressed upon him, blurring his vision as he endured grievous injuries. Still, the spirit of the hero within him burned brightly against the encroaching darkness. Standing tall, he roared a battle cry, hoping to inspire his men, yet they faltered as uncertainty crept into their hearts. In the distance, Beowulf watched his king, his courage reignited. He rushed to Beowulf's side, determined to aid him in the last stand. "We will not abandon you, noble Beowulf," he shouted, igniting a flame of courage within their hearts. Together, they rallied behind Beowulf, combining their strengths to face the dragon in one final, decisive effort. Beowulf lifted his sword, feeling its weight familiar in his hand. A ferocious snarl of rage escaped from his lips as he lunged toward the beast, Beowulf by his side. Metal clashed against scales, and the dragon thrashed violently. In the midst of the fierce confrontation, Beowulf summoned all of his remaining strength, delivering a savage blow to the dragon with the ancient sword he had once wielded. Beowulf struck alongside him, challenging the beast in a final act of bravery. The dragon, in its death throes, let out a bone-chilling roar before falling, its treasures scattered around the earth like glittering tears, their shine pale in comparison to the heroism that had felled the beast. Yet even in victory, the toll remained high. Beowulf, wounded fatally, slumped to the ground, feeling the life ebbing from his body. The very ground on which he had fought trembled beneath him, mirroring the turmoil within his heart. His eyes fell upon the treasures of the dragon, now revealed to him in all their splendor. As darkness crept in around the edges of his vision, Beowulf reflected on his journey, a life filled with triumphs and sacrifices. With his last breath, he turned to Beowulf, who knelt beside him. With a voice strong yet tender, Beowulf passed the mantle of leadership to the young warrior. "You are the future of Geatland," he whispered, his hand weakly gripping Beowulf's forearm. "You are the strength that will guide our people." "Lead our people with courage and honor," Beowulf whispered, his voice growing faint as the light began to fade from his eyes. Beowulf, moved to tears, pressed his forehead to his king's and vowed to honor Beowulf's final wish, determined to lead Geatland to greatness in his king's memory. As he spoke, visions of glorious battles danced in his mind, the laughter of warriors ringing in his ears. Memories of friendship, loyalty, and honor cascaded warmly over him as he accepted his fate. With his final breath taken as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, the world wept for the loss of its hero. News of Beowulf's death spread throughout Geatland. Palpable grief enveloped the kingdom. The great hero who had protected them for decades was gone, and with him, a sense of peace seemed to fade. The grandeur of a funeral was prepared to honor Beowulf's legacy, celebrating his life and valor. Gathered around him in sorrow and respect, warriors spoke of his deeds, his battles, compassion, and the moments of courage that had defined him. The air vibrated with mourning, tears mingling with a profound sense of shared loss. Fire engulfed the funeral pyre, flames reaching skyward as a testament to Beowulf's spirit. In the golden glow of the funeral pyre, those who mourned him found solace in their memories of Beowulf, a hero who would live on in their hearts and minds as the eternal protector of Geatland. His treasures, the spoils of his battles, were placed alongside him as a symbol of his journey. Each piece glimmered in the firelight, relics of glory, reminders of bravery that had brought him honor and sacrifices made for his people. As the sun rose the next day, a grand barrow emerged from the earth, standing like a sentinel on the cliffs that overlook the sea, a tribute to the man who had embodied courage and nobility to his last breath. Encircled by the surrounding cliffs, the barrow stood strong and proud, acting as a beacon of courage for all who would come after him. Time moved on, but the tales of Beowulf flourished, rooted deep in the culture and hearts of Geatland. Stories of bravery echoed through generations, like ripples in the ocean of time, spreading his name far and wide until he became not just a hero, but a symbol of strength, loyalty, and valor, an eternal champion for the ages. Parents spoke of their famed king to their children, instilling in them the values of courage, loyalty, and love. The bars of Heorot became renowned across the land, where songs of Beowulf's legendary feats inspired young warriors to rise against dark forces. The lessons learned from his life became woven into the fabric of society, enshrining his memory for eternity. And so, the story of Beowulf persisted, a timeless reminder of the eternal battle between good and evil, the strength found in unity, and the heroism that resides within each of us. As long as stories are passed down, the legacy of Beowulf will endure, a celebration of a man who distinguished himself through honor, valor, and sacrifice. Sleep well, Beowulf.